Alright guys, welcome back to a new video, and today doing something completely different. I'm making a top 5 list. As you can see from this and the same picture that was the thumbnail, it's going to be my top 5 Pokemon Home new mons. I don't know how to word it properly, but that's what we're going with. So basically, Pokemon Home came out a couple of sometime this week, a few days ago, last week, this week or last week, I can't remember. Might have been, I think it was this week. And it released a bunch of new Pokemon, so I'm going to go through the 5 Pokemon that I'm most excited to use in next season. And yeah, so leave down in the comments what you're excited to use next season. I am not wording this right. Let's go. So number 5 is Blastoise. Here we go. So I've already made a video on Blastoise, but here we go. Let's go through our boy, the water type Kanto starter. So obviously his type is water, and it has 2 abilities. He has Tauren and Rain Dish, and Rain Dish will be available as well. Tauren is when in a pinch, your water type moves are boosted, and Rain Dish is when it's raining, you heal 1/6 of your HP. So Blastoise probably has the worst hidden ability out of all the Kanto starters, but it does have some other really cool things, but we'll get into that in the moveset. But yeah, so that's Blastoise here. I actually think Torrent might be better than Rain Dish in most situations, if you're not using a rain team, but it depends. And then here is his stats. So he's HP 79, attack 83, defense 100, special attack 85, special defense 105, and a speed stat of 78. So his attacks are decent, his defenses are really good, and his HP is also just kind of decent. But you've got to take into consideration the move Shell Smash. So Shell Smash boosts all your offensive power by 2. So suddenly that attack stat becomes 166, and his special attack comes 170. And then his speed becomes, what's that? 154. So suddenly he becomes a lot better once Shell Smash is into the equation, but all his defenses get cut in half. So here's the main moveset that I'll see people using. It's going to be Shell Smash, Scald, Ice Beam, and Flash Cannon. Scald because it's the best water type move, Ice Beam because it's really good coverage. It hits ice types, hits flying types. It's mainly the grass types that we're looking at for here, and it hits dragons pretty hard. And then we have Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon's mainly for fairy types, because they be running around. Almost every support Pokemon is a fairy type, and sure, like a lot of Scald's Ice Beam's super effective against most of the support Pokemon like Whimsicott and Togekiss, but I think Flash Cannon's also a really good Dynamax move as it boosts your defense. So you could even get 2 Flash Cannons off, and then Shell Smash, get your 3 Dynamax Steel Spikes off, and then Shell Smash, and your defense will be fine. It won't be cut at all. So I think Flash Cannon's really good. Then we have for our items Focus Stash and or White Herb. This one is personal preference. I personally was running Focus Stash in the video I made for Focus Stash. I don't think there's meant to be a T there, so that's my bad. But I would personally run Focus Stash over White Herb mainly in doubles, because most Dynamax moves actually lower stats, and that consumes your White Herb, and so does Intimidate. And with Incineroar going to be very prevalent, you might just eat up your White Herb on that Intimidate turn. But a lot of people commenting saying that they would rather run White Herb, so I put it on here because I think a lot of people will be running it, and it just means that the stats that are lowered from Shell Smash aren't lowered anymore, more or less, but you can only use it once. So that's Blastoise. I think he's going to be a really fun sweeper to use if you can get him off in the right situations. Absolutely sweep through teams, and he's got pretty good coverage. I'm real excited to use Blastoise. On to number 4. So number 4 is probably, this was originally my most hyped Pokemon because I really like Hail teams, but here we have a Lowland Ninetails. It's Ice and Fairy type, which I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about that typing, as it is 4 times weak to Excadrill. Excadrill Ironhead is probably killing this thing through Berry. I'll be completely real with you. But it is the fastest Snow Warning Pokemon we have now. and it's probably definitely the best. So this thing's gonna kick Vanilluxe out of the meta, I reckon. I think this thing's just gonna be too good to pass up. So we have Snowcloak or Snow Warning. Snow Warning's probably the only ability you're gonna be seeing any use of, because Snowcloak's pretty niche and I don't think it's that good. But yeah, so this is that's its abilities, and we'll get onto its stats. It has a pretty bad HP stat. It's good when you're looking at its special defense, but looking at its defense being not that great either. This Pokemon's actually like kind of frail on the physical side, but you can put like max into defense and kind of leave special defense alone since the base is so good. So I'm not too sure on its stats. It's a bit iffy on the defense. Its special attack is lower than Vanilluxe, and I think it is slightly lower than Abomasnow's as well. So it's not hitting the hardest out of the Snow Warning setters, but it's still probably like really good. It's still going to hit very hard when it needs to. It has and we'll get onto the movesets actually. Sorry, it has access to Aurora Veil and Moonblast. Moonblast is the best like offensive fairy type move from memory. That's like it's single damage 90 base damage. It's really good. This thing's absolutely like crapping on dragon types. This thing's gonna go crazy on them. We have Aurora Veil. So Aurora Veil is basically light screen and reflect at the same time, but it can only be set in hail. We have Blizzard for 100% accuracy in hail and for hitting both Pokemon. But if you don't want to run Blizzard, then Freeze Dry is a completely good option. Freeze Dry, it makes it so you're super effective against water types. That means you're doing 4 times damage to Gyarados. You're doing 4 times damage to Gastrodon. You're super effective against Rotom Wash and Inteleon, which are all Pokemon that are pretty prevalent in ranked right now. And then I thought for the next one we would have Protect, mainly because Protect's really good and it helps you stall out a turn. And I've won many games using my Hail teams with Protect and then Hail killing them or chipping them down enough that I can kill them the next turn. Okay, as for items, I have 3 different item choices here. Each are probably personal preference. I have Light Clay, so Aurora Veil is 8 turns instead of 5. I have Babiri Berry to try and live those steel type moves, so we take half damage. And I have Focus Sash, so we definitely get an Aurora Veil off. I think Light Clay or Focus Sash are a lot better than Babiri. I think if you're getting hit by a steel type move that's physical, you're probably dying either way. I haven't run the calcs or anything, and I probably should have, but I'm pretty sure Babiri Berry's not saving you if you're not like max defense, max HP. So I think you can run Babiri, but I think Light Clay or Focus Sash will be better. That's just my opinion. Alright, on to number 3, which is a Lowland Persian. It's a dark type, and this Pokemon is kind of just discount Incineroar, but I think it's just a lot more hilarious to use. Like imagine kicking someone's ass with a Lowland Persian, dude. This thing, crazy good support mod in my opinion. So it has the ability Fur Coat, Technician, or Rattled. So Fur Coat is probably the only ability you're going to be seeing use of. Technician's like okay, but I think Fur Coat's just so good. So Fur Coat doubles your defense, which is pretty crazy. This thing actually gets a pretty gnarly defense stat with Fur Coat. So this thing is like, yeah, just, I don't think it's dying to like physical moves. But yeah, like, man, I'm freaking out about it, dude. This freaking Moonhead over here, he tanky. He gonna be tanky. Technician's also pretty good because it's high speed. It gets access to Fake Out, U-Turn, and a lot of Technician moves that are pretty good. And then we have Rattled, which is probably its worst ability, which is, I think if you get hit, you get a speed boost, but this thing's already got such a crazy speed that doesn't really matter. So let's have a look at a Lowland Persian stats, and this is where this thing kind of starts falling apart a bit. So it has 65 HP, which is not that great. Alright, that's a pretty abysmal HP stat in my opinion. That's not even close to, yeah, that's the main thing holding this Pokemon back in my opinion. Its attack stat's 60, so not that great. Defense is 60, but with Fur Coat, that defense is 120, which is freaking insane. That is a crazy defense stat. With that HP, I don't know how much it's doing though. special attack 75, and special defense 65, and 115 speed. This thing is very fast. Like, definitely in the high speed tier there. This thing's going to be a quick boy. But I don't know, I'm not too sure how much speed investment you're going to be able to put into this thing without having to have like a high HP stat, and maybe even okay, we'll look at the moveset and I'll tell you that I think you could probably go for max HP, max speed, because this thing has some pretty annoying moves. So the moveset that I thought I would use for a Lowland Persian was Parting Shot. So Parting Shot's basically U-turn, but you lower the opponent's attack and special attack by 1. And then Fake Out is, and then you have Fake Out. So Fake Out, you flinch the opponent, but you can only use it on the first turn. I'm sure most of you know what Fake Out is, but I will explain it. I'll explain it like that anyway. This move is a lot weaker this generation due to Dynamax Pokemon not being able to be flinched. So if you go to flinch like Togekiss and it Dynamaxes, it will not flinch. But it's still a really good move, especially when you know that this Pokemon probably isn't Dynamaxing, and you can get a flinch and get a free turn where you're not getting hit by that Pokemon. And then we have Snarl. Now Snarl is crazy good. It's a good move. It hits both Pokemon and lowers their special attack by 1. So this is where I think going max HP, max speed is really good for this Pokemon, because you can afford to not put a lot of points into these defenses because it's lowering the enemy Pokemon stats. So Parting Shot, -1 attack, -1 special attack. Suddenly they're doing a lot less damage to you. Snarl, your special defense is very, very abysmal because it doesn't, because Fur Coat doesn't double it. So Snarl's keeping you alive a lot longer. And then for the last move here, it was a toss-up. I couldn't really find a good move that I wanted to put on this Pokemon. I was thinking Protect is really good, as it always is. Just in doubles in general, it's just a really good utility move. You don't take damage on this Pokemon for a turn. If you predict it correctly, your opponent gets no damage on you for a turn. And then I was thinking Taunt. Now Taunt is a bit iffy. There's a lot of Pokemon that kind of get really screwed over by Taunt, but a lot of those Pokemon are, like Whimsicott gets screwed over by it, but it has Prankster, so it's getting its first support move off anyway before you. Then we have Grimmsnarl, which isn't affected by Taunt because it's a Dark type, which is another main target. And then we have Togekiss, which might actually just, like, you outspeed it, but there's a good chance Togekiss just dazzling gleams in your face, and then it's all over from there. So yeah, I'm not too sure about Taunt, but I wasn't too sure what else to put in this last spot if you didn't want to run Protect. So I think Protect's probably a better option. As for items here, I was thinking Pinch Berry for when you get low and you can get, I think it's now 2/5? No, 3/5? I think it's 3/5 of your HP back. It used to be 3/4, but now it's 3/5, I think. So that's when you're in a pinch, you get a lot of HP back. And I think that it's kind of like a Mudsdale situation, right? Like you worked really hard to get chip this Pokemon down, and then it just heals up like past half. It's really good, and it's gonna really annoy people, I reckon. And as for the next item, it's gonna be Leftovers. This is just for constant healing to kind of keep this thing alive a bit longer. Right, on to number 2, and quite possibly my favorite Pokemon from Pokemon Home. We have Venusaur. You guys already know, if you saw my Venusaur video, I love this Pokemon. It's a Grass Poison type, which is an amazing typing in my opinion. It is really good. I like Grass Poison a lot. There's just unfortunately not a lot of Pokemon that are Grass Poison, but it also gets, which is really important, the ability Chlorophyll. This ability is crazy good when you look at Venusaur's moveset. So what this ability does is in harsh sunlight, your speed is ×2. So it's basically just like Excadrill's ability, but for the sun. And then we have Overgrow, which is just grass type moves in a pinch. It's nowhere near as good as Chlorophyll. You'll almost see like 90% Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is really good. And then let's have a look. We'll go through Venusaur's stats first. So Venusor is actually a really balanced mon. It has 80 HP, which is really like pretty decent, pretty high up there. 82 attack, which is all right. Like you can run physical Venusor. Then you have its defense, which is 83. Again, not too bad. You know, like it's pretty still high up there. It has 100 special attack, which is pretty good. Yeah, it's hidden as hard as things like Mew and stuff like that. Then we have a special defense of 100 as well. This thing's getting pretty tanky. You know, this Venusor's a pretty tanky boy. And then it has a 68 speed, which is not great. But it has times 2 that, so it's, what is that? 136 speed in the sun, like base stat wise. So this thing's got some really good stats. Venusor's actually just probably the best Kantomon. So here I have 2 movesets. I have high offense, which is going to be Solar Beam, Earth Power, Sludge Bomb, and then for the last slot, either Protect or Frenzy Plant. I'll be real with you, Frenzy Plant is just hilarious to use, especially if you're Dynamaxing. And with Choice Specs Frenzy Plant, you're going to be knocking out almost anything that doesn't resist it or have like, you know, really high special defense. So this is my Venusaur moveset. Solar Beam or Frenzy Plant. I could see replacing with Energy Ball just for a more reliable grass type move that doesn't really hindrance you. Hindrance? Isn't a hindrance to you, right? So Solar Beam, you have to have the sun up to use it first turn, and Frenzy Plant, you have to recharge the next turn. It gets access to Leaf Storm as well, but you harshly lose your special attack. So I think Energy Ball thrown in here is really good because it's just a clean cut, basic energy, basic move. It has still a really good base damage, I think either 80 or 90. So that thing's still hitting really hard. And as for items here, I have Choice Specs or Life Orb. Choice Specs is hilarious, but you lose it in Dynamax and you get locked into your move. And if you're running Choice Spec, you don't run Protect. As for Life Orb's really good because when you Dynamax, you still have the Life Orb and it gives you the freedom to use other moves when necessary. So this thing, Venusaur also gets Earth Power this generation, which is so good. Earth Power, crazy. Hits Duraludon, hits Chandelure, which is really good at the moment. Hits Excadrill, hits Tyranitar. You get special defense boost, which is just crazy on this Pokemon who already has a base 100 special defense. This thing's getting tanky with its max moves. And it has Sludge Bomb, which I think raises your special attack, which I don't know what it is with Max Ooze, but that thing just doesn't seem to be hitting hard. I don't know if it's like Max Knuckle, where it's like only like where the base power rise isn't that good, but it doesn't seem to hit very hard. But raising that special attack is going to be doing wonders for you. And then Max Overgrowth is also just really good because it keeps you nice and healthy. And then we got its balanced moveset is what I like to call it. So we got Giga Drain and or Energy Ball, Sleep Powder, Sludge Bomb, and Earth Power. So this thing's not too different to the other set, but it has ×2 speed Sleep Powder. If you can hit that Sleep Powder, oh boy, they're not gonna have a good time. Especially if you get it on a Dynamax Pokemon, you can waste their Dynamax completely. They could sleep for 3 turns and not be able to make a move. Its Sleep Power is really good this generation, or sleep in general. Unfortunately, Sleep Powder has like a 60% accuracy, I'm pretty sure. So you probably, it's a bit of a yikes to rely on. But you can also, instead of Sleep Power, I didn't write it here, but I was thinking about it. You could also run Synthesis. So you basically have priority Synthesis a lot of the time because of your ×2 speed. And that is really good. You can just heal up on their face, and I think Synthesis is a even better heal under the sun, and which you probably will have more than likely. So this mon's staying around a long time, still doing really decent damage. If you go like max HP, max special attack, Venusor ain't going anywhere. As for the items here, we've got Leftovers for continuous healing, Pinch Berry, again for the same reason as Lowland Persian. It's going to be really annoying to whittle this thing down, and when you do, it's just going to heal back up again. And imagine Pinch Berry on top of Synthesis, and then Citrus Berry in case you are getting like half shot. You want that Citrus proc straight away into Synthesis. Alright, so that's my Venusaur rundown. As for the next Pokemon, number 1. I was actually considering putting this Pokemon at number 5 because I knew it was going to be used a lot and talked about a lot. And I wasn't really too excited to use it myself until I decided to make a video on it. and now I think I have to put it on every team I make, because this Pokemon is so much fun. At number 1, we have Incineroar. You all hate the Versum. We all love to use them. This Pokemon is so good. This Pokemon had in Ultra Series 2019, I think when I saw it was like 83%. 83%? It might have even been 93% like CP. So basically like, or like play percentage. I think the CP was 75%. So 93% of teams had an Incineroar in it. That is crazy. And I did not even add Blaze to the abilities tab here, because Intimidate is what makes this Pokemon come alive. This Pokemon is so tanky after Intimidate drop. It's insane. They basically made Incineroar, thought about hidden abilities, and thought, let's make him Arcanine, but better. And this is how Incineroar came out. Once Incineroar's out, you won't be seeing any more Arcanines. And that's just the sad fact. So here are the stats. We've got 95 HP, crazy good HP. This thing's bulky as hell. It has 115 attack. You don't even have to put any EVs into this attack stat, and it is freaking one-shotting everything, or at least two-shotting. Not everything, but you get my point. This thing hits hard still. It has 90 defense, again, amazing. It has 80 special attack, which isn't bad still. Like, considering the fact it has such a high attack stat, 80 special attack is still pretty good. Like, that's only 3 less than Blastoise, so, you know, all I'm trying to say is this thing can still be a special attacker. And it has 90 special defense still. That's only 10 less than Venusor's 100. And this thing's just so tanky. The only thing it's lacking is speed, but like back in the day that was pretty good because you wanted slow U-turns, but now I think with the I think it kind of is a detriment now because of the moveset I'm giving it. So the moveset here is Darkest Lariat, Flare Blitz, U-turn or Parting Shot, and Fake Out. This Pokemon is insane. It's insane. So, oh my, this Pokemon, oh my god. I'm in love with Incineroar. It's just this moveset. So Darkest Lariat, it's hitting freaking hard, let me tell you. Base 115 attack. This thing hits freaking hard, bro. It's insane how much damage this is doing. Then Flare Blitz as well. Oh my god. Flare Blitz is like, oh, it just does so much damage. It's not fair. And then you have a slow U-turn. That's a free switch. This thing's so bulky, dude. It's basically a free switch. And then we have Parting Shot here, which kind of the same principle, but you want Parting Shot to go off first in most cases because it lowers their stats, so their next attack, like their attack that turns, going to be doing less damage. But the same principle applies if it's slower, then you basically get a free switch into your next Pokemon. And then we have Fake Out, again, not as good as it was in like previous generations due to Dynamaxing, but it's still really good. So this Pokemon has such good utility and damage. It's just not okay. And then we have the items, which are the Pinch Berry. Again, same reason as the last like 3 Pokemon. Pinch Berries are just really good on these tankier mons and like on these support mons. And then we have Assault Vest. So if you run Assault Vest, you won't be running Parting Shot, but Assault Vest, boosting that special defense up, it sticks around and still does crazy damage. Alright, so guys, that is the end of my list. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. This video was a lot longer than I thought it would be, and I'm sorry if I didn't make sense in some parts. I have been talking a bit fast, but I kind of like didn't really script any of this. This is just kind of me rambling off what I think about each Pokemon. I think it keeps it a bit more genuine. But if you do agree with this list, hit that like button and or tell me what you would list differently. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time.